we're all these energies coming in, and people are kind of like, the change isn't happening. It's getting worse. And I want to tell you guys, from my observations, both my individual observation, my personal observation, and the observations I'm having working with groups of people, is that it's the opposite. There is amazing miracles happening daily on this planet for humans. Absolutely phenomenal. The level of consciousness, if you can measure, if it was possible to measure quantum, the depth of quantum that's here, there's so much waking up at a very fast pace, and there's so many amazing things going on, you know, but you have to look for it. If you don't look for it, it's not going to be so apparent, depending on where you live and your lifestyle and how and all that, how you manage this reality. Now, many people are very, very good at managing this reality, and they are living that truth that I'm talking about every single day. So I'm not talking to you guys. I'm talking about the rest of you guys that are working at figuring out that lifestyle, right? How to live a lifestyle absolutely true to your spirit, where you are so excited to wake up every day to see what amazing miracle is about to happen, and to fall in love and live your passion, do all those things. So it is a soul's journey to learn how to achieve that in this life. So, just so you guys put this in perspective. So this consciousness awakening downloads are happening at a lightning pace and huge quantum amounts, that I can't really quantify for you guys, but it's pretty massive. And so now what the challenge is, it's how to digest these things, how to, if your inner garden is not well tilled and tended to, how to maximize the downloads that are going on. And this is actually easier than you guys realize. So when you feel like you went through an activating experience, or if you feel like a pretty significant download just happened, either waking or dreaming, right? If you feel like any of that happened, there's things you can do to nurture and feed those seeds to accelerate that integration process. Okay, so this is a little bit you might want to get a piece of paper out, because there's a couple tips I'm going to give to you guys for this. Now, I mentioned in the beginning that there's times when you have like an epiphany just comes in along with the download, right? So pay attention to the feeling you have with that epiphany, and pay attention to what that epiphany feels like it's liberating you from. Okay, so that is important, because if we're slowing down and really paying attention, when that epiphany hits us and we're like, oh, whoa, right? That's the first thing that has our attention, the whoa. And then slow down and notice what other things are happening in your body. Maybe there's a little bit of a tinge in the back of your head. Maybe there's a little tightening in the crown, or maybe it feels like there's cool water being poured down your back, right? Pay attention to the other data sets that are going on after that epiphany. The other thing you do is you pay attention to the feelings that you have during the download. Now, during the download, if you're altered or you don't have access to anything to do anything about it, then that's okay. Just pay attention to the feeling, pay attention to the sensations, just pay attention to whatever is happening. And then there is a technique that we use in the Dreamtime Healing Project called making a squiggle. And people, like, at first when they see this technique, they're like, you gotta be kidding me, this can't really be anything. But you'd be shocked, because there are times when all we have to work with is a squiggle from a dream, and we get so deep to profound levels just tracking the energy within the squiggle. Okay, so what you would do is, once you do have a pen and paper nearby or some other medium to catch your squiggle, you go back to the moment of feeling the download, you go back to the moment the best you can, memories, smell, environment, all that. You visit the feeling, and then you start moving your piece of paper along, you're moving the pen or whatever on the paper while you're visiting the feeling, while you're visiting the data sets. Maybe there's multiple data sets. Maybe you heard a tone at the same time. Maybe you started to have like a little buzz in your brain. Maybe your stomach started turning. Maybe your heart started like, la, all those things. You just pay attention to all those thoughts and feelings and data. I call those data sets. And there's a reason for that, and I'll get back to that. But whatever those data sets are, you revisit them while you're squiggling and moving your pen along a paper. And what happens is that paper is a three-dimensional representation of the download that you just revisited, okay? You are the interface. Your thoughts, your feelings, all of that, and your intent of capturing on the squiggle is the interface to track into these energies. Now let me go and visit data sets for a reason, because there's a very important reason why I call things data sets. And it's because the number one thing that causes us to go off track when we're tracking energy are already preconceived thoughts and notions and experiences that we project onto a feeling, a thought, an experience. Okay, so and that what that does is it puts a box. Okay, a box that we'll call it a meaning box. It puts a meaning box on these data sets. So you can't really go any deeper than what that box will allow, right? So if you get a data set and it's contradictory to something that you think is true, then you're going to dismiss that data set, when actually it is the main data set that's going to get you somewhere different than you've gotten before. You see what I mean? So by calling feelings, thoughts, sensations, ideas, epiphanies, calling all those things data sets allows us to refer to them in a way that's more neutral. Because really what happens is when you're tracking, to learn to track accurately, okay, you have to let go of everything you think you know is true. You have to let go of your mind thoughts, because your mind thoughts only can visit things that you already know, okay, that already exist, right? Hence the reason why we get those epiphanies, right? It has to exist here before it pops up here. Okay, so and each data set has an energy to it, and as we focus on the data set, let's say it's a sensation, let's say it's like an ache in the collarbone, we focus in on that data set and feeling it and having it, and what will happen is that if we can surrender enough to the experience of that data set, it'll actually pull our awareness to another kind of data set. And maybe your awareness will get pulled from here to a tingling in your belly, maybe a tickling on your skin. Oh, and then maybe that will pull your awareness to a weird stuffy itchy in your nose. Okay, now very often it'll start off with simple sensations like that, but the more you relax and let those data sets be your focus, you'll notice you'll get pulled into different zones, different regions of energies. Sometimes you'll have to bounce in the physical stuff for a little bit before all of a sudden you have a feeling. And the feeling is maybe it's nervousness, maybe it's anxiety, maybe it's something you can't put a label to, but then you focus on the feeling and then you just sit with the feeling, and that feeling is going to pull you to another place. And once you get into the thoughts and feelings mode, just watching it, not engaging it, what will happen is that very often that will get you in touch with a deep inner knowing. So as soon as your subconscious makes that connection between sensations data sets into knowing data sets, it's like major activation just happened. A major light bulb just went on in the subconscious, and now you have vastly advanced your capacity to track. Okay, so this is why we talk about tracking. We don't talk about psychic, intuitive knowing, though that is part of the process. But tracking is a way to track energies into an unknown. An unknown, by very definition, means it's not known. It's not an experience you've already had. It's not an idea that you've already thought of. It's not, you know what I mean? It's literally going into the unknown and pulling something, what's in there, to your awareness. And then those are the methods of tracking of how you get to the origin of something. As I'm telling you, all of the drama that we experience personally and collectively did not start here. It did not start here. Okay. And we cannot track beyond our own experiences if we think what we think is what is. You know, if we can't step beyond what we think we know, we can't step beyond who we think we are, then we're going to always stay in the box of that human experience. So data sets is a way to talk about the kinds of information that comes into your awareness when you have the intention to track into something. Okay. And there's other things you can do to enhance your capacity to track and tune in and all these things. But the number one piece is what I just gave you there. It's the data sets being neutral and watching the whole and just letting the energy of the data sets move you to different places. It always starts with your intent. And we are way more psychic intuitive than we think we are. We have way more inner knowing capacities than we think we do. And that's because of our conditioning. You know, we've been conditioned for many generations, from the time that we're conceived to birth and then upbringing. We're conditioned to not trust ourselves. We're conditioned to make choices and have beliefs that interfere with our true nature, the expression of our true nature.